Hey, hey. And like, y'all like my jingle? I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was decent. All right, so here are our key points for today's yeah, I'm gonna start here, right? Here are our key points for today's reading. My key points. The ones that were key to me. Again, if something is popping up for you, please put it in the chat or inside the Padlet. So first things first, um, um, views about God have been quote unquote touched by people. That was a direct quote. Now I am so grateful that he said that because I often joke about that specifically. Am I joking when I say that? I don't think I'm joking. I think I mean to be funny, but I'm also being very serious when I say that our God's image has been made in the eyes of people, right? So we're clear. These terms, God, divine, source, spirit, higher power, creator, are all human created terms that I use to describe that nameless force that is the source of all there is. The source of all there is. Okay? I do not get into the religious aspects of those teachings as much anymore. I do see where they had a place in my life at stages in my life, and I continue to see how I can use some of those teachings to deepen my understanding where I am now and where I continue to go. But I the term I tend to connect with and use the most is source. However, when I use any of those terms, God, divine, source, spirit, higher power, creator, I it's all that's it's all the same term. All those terms mean the same thing to me. Um, and I understand that everyone has a different term that they make that feels best to them. But I just want y'all to know, like, so we can all be like on the same page. When you hear me use those terms, that's what I'm getting in. That's what I'm talking about. The author says another key point that I thought was interesting, that each of us has an internal, personal connection to the divine. That was the way that he said it in the book. And I said, yeah, that deeply resonates with me. The way that I see it is my connection to source is not going to be the same as anyone else's. Not my mama's, not my spouse or partner's, not my children, not those that I may be in congregation with. There is no one size fits all with that. But I was conditioned to believe as a child growing up in a Pentecostal church that there was a more one size fits all approach and it had to look a certain way to be right. Okay? Um, Spiritual growth can be experienced, not just considered in a philosophical way. I thought that was huge. That's a huge point. This makes me think about how, although each major religion has differences within their teachings and beliefs, there are some beliefs that are the same. Is that because they are actually universal laws? And that's why, like, think about like how every major religion all has some type of lesson or teaching or belief about doing unto others. What happens, karma, what happens comes back. You know what I'm saying? Like, in all of the different ones, that this one thing remains to be a truth. I also notice how each of the major religions, they all have some falsehood in them. One of the falsehoods that was taught to me as a child growing up is all this division, all this divisiveness, all of this group over here, this group over there, they over there. And we don't F with them, they don't F with them, but they don't F with us, like all this separation and division, right? Um, I don't see God, I don't see source as that. I more so see the oneness. Y'all heard that analogy? The ocean in a drop, and the drop in an ocean, or even the one about the rays of the sun is still an extension of the sun. It's still the sun. It's not like, oh, you lesser than because you just a ray. No, it ain't like that. So even though there are all these falsehoods in them, they also retain some of the truth, the authentic truth. And I feel like that's proven in the fact that we all find resonance somewhere, whether you are part of an organized religion that you are practicing, or whether you decided that you're atheist. Like, no matter where you landed with that, there is a truth in all of it. And the fact that we're all able to find resonance somewhere proves that. Because if there was no truth in it, we would we on a soul level, on a spiritual level, would not be able to find any connection or resonance to it. I'm going deep. Oh yeah, I'm going deep. um Honestly, y'all, I don't know what people think when I don't know what people think I mean, or what I'm really saying when I use terms like spiritual, or spirituality, or holistic. I, I'm welcome to know. I'm open to know. Like, when y'all hear me use those terms, what do y'all think or feel, or what does it mean to you when I use terms like spiritual, or spirituality, or holistic? Um, because when I use terms like spirituality, I'm not speaking about religion. I'm speaking about the being that I am without this body. I'm speaking about the being that I am, and connecting more with my energetic being than what has been conditioned and like brainwashed into me to focus more on like the 3D physical part. This 3D self that I am playing right now in this avatar talking to y'all is only a fraction of who I am on a soul level. And I believe that that is the truth for all of us. When I use the term holistic, I'm not just speaking about eating clean food, or using non-toxic products. I'm thinking about how every aspect of life is interconnected, and how one thing doesn't happen without the other thing. Like, everything's connected. Like, so when I talk about things being holistic in the body, I'm acknowledging that if one system is compromised, the entire body will be compromised, because the entire system needs the entire thing to be optimal to work in an optimal way, right? Let me know if y'all with me, because I feel like I don't know. I could be getting deep. I know I'm getting deep, but let me know if y'all with me or not. This isn't something that is too far away for us to reach as humans. And in the example from the text, Singer describes a situation where a person might be used to feeling anxiety and anger, and over time, how that changes as they grow past that part of them. That specifically reminds me of how I continue to share with y'all how when I worked in the school, not the school district, when I worked in the charter school, I was where is it? When I worked in a charter school, I was waking up in the predominant emotional state of anxiety. Remember, that's our gauge. We're using the way that we wake up every day. And I got this from my mentor, Jay Nicole. She suggested, if you want to figure out where you vibrating, take stock of where you are waking up every day emotionally. Just notice that every day for like 2 weeks. Wherever you're predominantly, that means most significantly, most amount waking up, that would be your predominant emotional state. Okay, so we know that there was a point where City was working at a certain organization and was waking up every rising in the emotional state of anxiety. Okay, now it wasn't just because someone kept talking to me and telling me to, be positive and to feel better. It ain't because I began to make more money. It ain't because I got a different job. It's because I began to do work within myself to get myself out of a place where I stopped waking up that way. So it this is what Singer means when he says that it's not something that you um it's not just a philosophical thing that is just like, not for you. It could be for you if you choose to, um but it is an experience. It's something that you do experience by what they call, quote unquote, doing the work. And the work is the inner work. I'm going to be very honest with you. This is not easy work to do, especially when you are when at certain levels of consciousness, some things are just like not available to you. That's why we have support. That's why we have coaches. That's why I serve in the capacity that I do. So I'm here. Anyone who is listening to this and might feel like, I would like to know more about this. It's a little strange. It's a little different, but I would like to work more with this. I like to learn more about this inner work. I just like to know more. Then let's connect. I just dropped my link tree. What you want to do there is hit the alignment call. That's a 30-minute call where we just, up to 30 minutes. It may not take that long, but it's a call where we get connected, get to know each other, and you let me know what's going on and what you're thinking about and where you are with things. And then from there, we can figure out maybe there may be some ways that I can help you moving further, or perhaps just in that call. And that's a complimentary call, y'all. Even in that call, I always offer some type of something you can walk away with. So um, just consider that. Consider that. Now back to, where am I? Now I want to be clear about this too before we move off of this point. Remember how I just talked about that I was waking up? Where is the visual aids? Here they go. I was waking up more in a state of anxiety back when I worked at the charter school. When I first began to read this book with y'all, I remember sharing I was waking up more in the emotional state. I was like fluctuating between. I was in affirmation. That's really where I was. When I began to read this book out loud on stream, I feel like every day I was waking up in the predominant emotional state of affirmation. And even now, I feel like I'm waking up every day in the predominant emotional state of trust. So even with that, even within this time period of rereading the book again, I've done more inner work to continue to grow in my spiritual journey. All right, this I'm not saying this to say like this doesn't mean anything. I'm talking about me. You get what I'm saying? I'm talking about me. This doesn't mean that I'm this doesn't mean anything, right? Like don't look at a scale like this. Hold on, can we go back there? Don't look at a scale like this and think that the whole goal of it is, well, let me be clear. Yes, is the goal to achieve enlightenment? Yeah, but is it something that we are like doing in a linear way? No. And is if someone is at a state of enlightenment, does that make them better than you if you might not yet be at that emotional or energetic state? No, because we are all one, right? So how could one be better than the other if we all one anyway? You know what I mean? That don't make no sense. We're just all at different levels of experiences in the journey. You know what I'm saying? This is a depiction of H2O, right? And on the left hand side, right? We know water, right? H2O. As a solid, H2O presents as ice. As a liquid, it presents itself as water. And as a gas, it's steam. It's just vapor. Okay? It's not better or worse H2O. It's just giving what it needs to give, where it needs to give it, for what it needs to give it for what needs to be handled at the time. Does that make sense? I know y'all feeling me. I know y'all feeling me. So, um, we can move on now. I wanted to get that out. Okay, drifting upward. I took that quote right from the book. Is the experience of going deeper inward to oneself. He says go in and up, in and up. He said a couple times in the book you get high. Did anyone else catch that? You get high, and I'm like, wait a minute. Is that why certain substances were considered to be were named illegal or labeled illegal, and said to be inappropriate, or said to be harmful? Is it really because those substances can support you with connecting to your higher self? Come on now. The 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 clues are all in the language, okay? The clues are in the language. Stand by. Stand by right there. Don't go nowhere. Stand by. I'm not even going to put the break screen on because I'm not going that far. I must have lied. I am going that far. No, I'm not. I ain't lied. Whew. Mm. Another shout out to Boba and Tacos. They got me right. This was one of the gifts I got on the RG gift exchange we did in the wintertime. Wake, Bake, Meditate is a guide to using cannabis to enhance your sense of spirituality. So somebody has done the research to see how you can connect to your higher self. Is that what they call it, getting high? Because you're going to your higher self? I'm being very serious, and I'm not joking at all when I say that. Like, I'm not joking. At the end here, she talks about what happens if you consume too much and possible side effects. So not a lot of us, myself included, have abused cannabis because we don't really use it in the way that it's been intended. We just use it to party and, get high in that sense. But what if we began to use it in a way to help us connect to our higher self? Could you imagine? We're gonna get into. I'm gonna do some excerpt from this soon. I told y'all that was gonna be happening next. But does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? I know y'all know what I'm saying. That's exactly why, right? That's exactly why they told us that those. That's exactly why they made those substances. They decided that they were going to control the narrative. And not allow the people to be connecting to the the energies that they could be connecting to on a natural level, okay? Because my peoples did this on a natural level. When I am y'all, certain experiences I've had on these substances is nothing but divine. It's like I've experienced things, and I've experienced my abilities present themselves in ways that are just amazing and astounding, um, while on a safely guided trip. So what's going on with that? Y'all know what I'm saying? And it's natural too. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, time out. One time, I was with my college sisters at an event, and y'all know, City Partakes, and the event we were at was a solar return celebration for one of my college sisters. Her husband partakes. So of course he wanted to make sure that I knew, well, where to go if I needed to go take a break, and he also wanted to make know if I wanted to have an edible to start getting right. And so of course I'm like, yeah, pass off. And then I start to joke with my other sisters who I know don't partake, and I say, you gonna blow with me this time, like what's good? And I remember one of my sisters said, I don't do drugs. And I said, but you take Advil. And then she said, touche. So, you know, definitely a difference between substances that are grown from the earth naturally, like a plant, and then one that's like created in a lab using chemicals. I mean, like, which one is the drug for real? And it's like, when you think about it from that perspective, then food is a drug too, right? Because anyway, am I getting ahead of myself? Yeah, because that is not even what this chapter is about. But anyway, yeah, get high. All right, so drifting upwards. Um, so much of this construct is external, right? So I'm gonna get into that in a second. Let me finish reading the points. Consider yourself as a spiritual being who who has taken a human form to experience this mental, emotional, and physical journey. Like, can you imagine that with me for a moment? Like, where do you think your energy goes? Energy can't be destroyed. So when a person takes a last breath, where do you think the energy goes? What do you think happens? Look it up. Like, go on YouTube and look up people talk about these experiences. Like, it's fascinating. So much of this construct is external. So much so that it is easy to forget that what happens internally is as important, maybe even more important. This is my belief and my knowing, because the internal is what influences the external. It is not the other way around. Let me repeat that so I can be very clear. It is what happens on the inside that influences our external reality and how life shows up for us and how we show up for life. If I wake up and I feel excited, happy, joyful, euphoric, positive, optimistic, if I am in that energetic state internally, right? And something happens in the external that might be frustrating or annoying, how do you think I would handle that? If I'm already in the energetic state of happiness, positivity, joy, euphoria, optimism. Now compare that to waking up and being in the state of fear, shame, lack, scarcity, anger, sadness, guilt. And something happens as you're getting ready for work that is annoying. How might you handle that? How might the responses be different? They're only same thing happened. The only thing that's different is what energy is going on inside that's going to empower you to react to a situation in a certain way. Now that example might have been a little bit it could have been unclear. I don't know. What did you say? The energy is like the ripples in the waves. It keeps going. It keeps going. Absolutely. And something else I thought was, because you know how you can't destroy energy, like it can't be destroyed. It only changes form. So it's like, yes, if I have a piece of glass, I can break the glass. It's still there though, right? The energy is still there, right? Right? The because it's just there in many shards of glass. So it's broken, but it's still there. It just changed its form. There you go, Juice. I like that example. Share. So I do have, if in case that example I just gave about the feeling on the inside not being, in case that wasn't clear, I have another one. The internal impacts the external, not the other way around. Want an example? Skincare. There is an entire market, right, You know what I'm saying? There's an entire industry for skincare products. There's an entire industry specifically targeting adolescent people, people who are going through puberty, people who are going through puberty, right? Why? Because there are hormonal changes occurring in the body, right? That need to be better managed and are not really as managed as well. But so what happens is sometimes these external changes show up as like acne, right? Blemishes, okay? Whole entire daggone market targeting people to buy topical creams to heal their skin. You ever notice how when sometimes when on those medications, like those prescription medications, like for example, there was a really popular um, prescription acne medication when I was in college, and there was one that I was on. I was on one when I was in high school. You ever notice all the side effects? Like use this cream, but it also may cause this, and this. Not natural. You created a chemical to be able to problem solve for what I am lacking inside of me. So perhaps the way that this serum, this cream, this gel or whatever is supposed to work is that it's supposed to mimic the processes inside the body that have been disrupted because I don't know enough about how my body is actually supposed to work. So I've been doing things kind of like against how my body would like to work, like eating certain things or behaving in certain ways or just putting myself in situations that are not really aligned for me. And my body's been talking to me, but I don't really know how to understand that language. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now I'm taking this topical thing to problem solve for something that is lacking on the inside when honestly I could do some research, learn what fruits, vegetables, I'm talking about whole foods, right? Come on now. City love chips. Don't get it twisted. I'm not a hypocrite out here. I love potato chips. It's fucking fake. Yo. You understand what I'm saying? It's fake food. Shit ain't real. Come on, man. Right? Okay. Are we getting into it yet? Are we getting into it? We getting into it, right? So I do the research to learn what fresh whole foods, herbs perhaps may support skincare. I hydrate way more because I know that I need to be hydrated from the inside for my cells to be able to work properly, right? Is this a clear example of how the internal impacts the external and not the other way around? I tried to make it as clear as I could. Let me know if that landed for y'all. Do I know that Doja Cat song? Anyway, Juice. Okay. To know God is to experience oneness, which is spoken of in religious texts and ancient teachings. So here is where a singer quotes Bible verses from the book of John, illustrating the idea of being one with God, right? And this message appears often in the Bible, and often in other ancient and religious teachings. But let's be clear and address the big old elephant in the room. It is considered blasphemy in some circles to consider yourself or myself as a god, lowercase g. You get what I'm saying? Oh, don't say that. Blasphemy, blasphemy, blasphemy. The blood of Jesus. Right? Come on now, y'all been there. City John gonna take it there. It could get uncomfortable, but I'm gonna take it there because we gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We gotta get into it. I'm gonna take it there. I know y'all with me though. I know y'all rocking. So, and I'm not trying to offend nobody. I grew up in a church like that. The blood of Jesus. Oh. I grew up in a church like that. You know what this makes me think of? Honestly, like all jokes aside, it makes me think of the word atone. I'm gonna type. Y'all can I'm gonna type it in the chat. If you want to type it in the chat, type it in the chat. Atone. Okay. And that word atone means to make amends or to make right. And in the Bible, it's used in the context of repentance in order to be reconciled with God, right? Okay. Now, when I break that up into two words, where are the straight A students? Because I know y'all knew where I was going with this. When you break up a tone, you get at one. So to atone is to be at one. There's that oneness again. So for my interpretation, to atone or atonement is to be at one with God. The clues are everywhere. The clues are everywhere in the language, especially. Um, so, trying to understand God on a mental level is a futile attempt. All books have different interpretations, and then those interpretations have rebuttals because it's like trying to bring God down to this mental, intellectual level. What are we doing that for? Um, Remember, this is why I joke about that because in the Bible it says that God or gods were said to make man in their image, but I say that man has recreated God in His image. You can Google images. You can type in like God, and they will show you like images of what God looks like. You can type in like Asian Jesus, and it will give you an Asian depiction of Jesus. They're just like literally creating all of these visual depictions to make each different culture feel better about the connection to it. Nameless, faceless, source of all there is. That's it. All this other stuff, all these imaginings, I mean they're great. Like the imagination is great. We need to use the imagination, but not for that purpose cuz look at what it's done. It's caused a lot of division. It's caused a lot of confusion, and it really serves to keep people away from themselves. And this was we want to get into this part now. Um, Consider that God is not judging, nor is God angry, but unconditional love. So, Singer says this in the book, and I also agree that I think it's confusing to teach that God is love and loves with unconditional love, and then also say that God is judgmental and wrathful, and you should be scared. Like, okay, so God is confusing. You know what I'm saying? Like, which one is it? Which one is it? So, like, okay, hear me out. On page 178, Singer says, what if that is how God looks upon his creation? Then you've lost out if you've been told otherwise. Instead of being encouraged to feel completely protected, loved, honored, and respected by the divine force, you've been taught that you're being judged. Because you've been taught that, you feel guilt and fear. But guilt and fear do not open your connection to the divine. They only serve to close your heart. The reality is that God's okay, right? I don't have to continue from there. I just want to reread that part to ground us in what I'm about to say. So let's go back to where City was working in the charter school and was waking up every day in a predominant emotional state of anxiety. Okay, the name of that level is the fear level, right? And remember, we talk about that God view, and that God view at that time was punitive. I felt like the reason why all these bad things were happening to me was because I was being punished by God, because I was still under the belief that God is angry with me, God is going to exercise vengeance and judgment upon me because I'm not doing certain things. Recap this reading. Because you've been taught that, you feel guilt and fear. But guilt and fear do not open your connection to the divine. They only serve to close your heart. So I'm gonna show a different image in a moment, but these colors are important, and so are these levels in correspondence with what I'm saying here. and what I'm reading here and how we're connecting it. These lower energies of grief and guilt and fear, right, are closing off the higher energies. They're closing off energy to the heart. The heart energy lives up in the green. When you're waking up in trust, optimism, and forgiveness, that's green heart chakra energy. So when you are predominantly living energetically in these lower emotional states, it is energetically closing off energy that could be coming through to your heart. Are you following me? Are you following me? Because this is deep. I know. This is advanced. This was advanced today. Are y'all with me? Okay. So, am I choosing to believe that God is judging me and is going to be wrathful to me, his own creation? I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, quote unquote. And I'm using, and I don't even regard God as he. And in the book, Singer kept saying he a lot, and I was just reading I was just saying what was written, but I don't look at God as just like this male figure, this father figure. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because my father, rest his soul, did not create me just by himself. In order to create me, my father had to hook up with my mother, and together they created me. So I don't buy the whole idea that God is just some father, male, masculine, patriarchal figure, because I feel like that was mainly done to condition us to the patriarchy. Okay? So that's that. Yes, thank you, Juice. I know you with me. So, is it? Oh, yes. I just want. Did I do something wrong? Okay. Great. We're right here. Um, so knowing God comes from experience, not intellect. So it's not easy for I can't identify God for you or for any one person. It's an experience that you have. One's spiritual journey is a very personal process. I can't teach you how to have my spiritual journey. I can give you tips and tools that are universal, but once you start to have your own experience, it is your own spiritual journey. So that's it. Here's our discussion questions. Yet again, take your screenshot. What's coming up for you? What do the terms spiritual journey or spiritual lifestyle mean to you? Has that changed over the course of us reading this book together and us having these discussions? How do you connect with what's known as God? And how have you grown and evolved from where you were at the start of this book to where you are now? And as always, if you like this presentation, if you like book reports, if you need work like this done, I'm here. You can send me a message at cityjohnliving@gmail.com, or you can hit that command in the chat. Thank y'all so much for vibing with me for this entire read aloud and discussion. Thank you for, thank you for, yeah, there you go. There you go. I want to show the questions again. There you go. Thank you for being with me for this entire reading of this entire book and all the discussion. This is the very first time I ever read a book from start to finish on stream before. I had so much fun doing this with y'all, and I will decide what book will be next for sure, and I might make that more of a community involvement so that y'all can all pitch in on what we read next together. But thank y'all all so much for rocking with me, for being here, for every discussion, for every reading. I really appreciate you. Remember to connect with me, stay connected if you like what you've seen here, and also remember to share with someone that you think it could help. I love you.